Welcome back, y'all. This is Brandy M. Miller with Creating with Love, where we work to spread love, hope, and joy to every human heart with creative expression. Now, we've been working on our novel for the last now 9 days, and we're getting ready to flesh out chapter one because yesterday we spent time basically figuring out what the details were going to be, what the dialogue, what the action, and we're ready to actually dive into literally making it a chapter. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll just jump into getting started. Okay, so this was our mood. It's peaceful, happy, joyful. The characters that'll be in the scene: Tess, Dan, Lucy, Connie, and the parish priest. Our actions: they're going to exit Mass, greet the parish priest, walk across the parking lot, enter their vehicle. That's it. The objects: it's a parking lot filled with vehicles, Dan's Toyota Camry, and the parish bulletin that Lucy is holding in her hand. It's a fall season. The weather's warm. It's 89 degrees. It's morning. The clothing is dressy but lightweight. And the setting is St. John Paul II University Parish near UNT in Denton, Texas. Connie's happy and upbeat. Lucy's excited and animated. Tess is relaxed but upbeat. Dan is pensive, reserved, quiet desperation. And the parish priest is friendly and welcoming. We're going to go through the dialogue points. And actually, I'm going to start here with the dialogue and just kind of scope out really good dialogue. Doesn't necessarily have to be distinguished by he said, she said. You almost should be able to tell who's speaking even without the author expressly indicating it. So what might the homily be? It depends on the Thanksgiving readings for the day. Unfortunately, we're Catholic, so those are universal and standard. Thanksgiving Day readings. Reading one comes from Sirach, and now bless the God of all who has done wondrous things on earth. I will praise your name forever is the psalm. Readings from 1 Corinthians. Give thanks to God always on your account. So he was interviewed. 10 persons with leprosy met him. They stood at a distance. The importance of gratitude. Ooh, you know, in the journey to love, gratitude is probably one of the most important and yet overlooked things that we can do to really help keep relationships going strong. So I think that's actually what the focus of the homily is going to end up being. Pardon me, I was working on another book. Let's work on active voice. Okay. I hope you enjoyed Mass. The church is beautiful. I found Father's homily insightful. I thought so too. I loved his point about gratitude being the fuel that keeps the fires of love burning. Indeed, it's something I recognize I need to work on more. Hey, Connie, how long are you going to be staying? I've got to leave on Saturday, sweetheart. It's a long way back to Chicago, even when the weather's at its best. Let's see. Weather for Chicago on Thanksgiving. She's an elementary school teacher, so it puts her teaching about fourth, end of fourth grade, beginning of fifth. So yeah. All right. We forgot to greet the priest. Let's make him. Well, we decided that Dan would be a little more responsive. Not, not quite as reserved as I thought initially. And I changed around the order of things a bit. And we won't say that because I'm not from Chicago, so I don't know a lot about Chicago weather. All right. So it's just, kind of a mild mannered bit of dialogue there. So we've worked everybody in. Let's mark where the action happens. So this is, where's this taking place? This is taking place. And this is just outside the church. And this takes place as they're entering the parking lot. We know all of these things. So, all right. So as they're entering the narthex of St. John Paul University, this is said by Tess. Connie pushed open the heavy wooden doors of St. John Paul II University Parishes and entered the narthex beside her sister, Tess. Tess waited until the doors closed behind them before remarking, "I hope you enjoyed Mass." Connie smiled at her sister. "The church is beautiful. I found Father's homily insightful." "I thought so too." Tess nodded. "I thought so too. I loved his point about gratitude being the fuel that keeps the fires of love burning." So what action could we have Connie do? I like to have actions before the dialogue, just so that people know who the speaker is without me having to say he said, she said all the time. But nodding constantly at everybody isn't fun either. No, that's not quite right. All right. The narthex is for those who aren't Catholic. The narthex is the gathering place outside of the nave. The nave is where everybody is seated, and then we have the altar. So we don't need to read that. Okay, so now we've gotten that done. The first time you introduce a character, it's usually proper to give an entire name so they know. Who you're referring to. You know what? Let's have Dan open the door. Let's have him be a gentleman. All right. Actually, this is a point where she might notice the warm. Yeah, we don't even need to have that be a dialogue point. Sum? No, we don't have a sum. Okay, so now we've got, let's see. Peace enveloped Constance Finnegan as she pushed open the heavy wooden doors of St. John Paul II University Parish's nave and entered the narthex beside her sister Tess. Tess waited until the doors closed behind them before remarking, "I hope you enjoyed Mass." Connie gave Tess a smile. "The church is beautiful. I found Father's homily insightful." Tess nodded. "I thought so too. I loved his point about gratitude being the fuel that keeps the fires of love burning." Dan opened the church's exit door and held it open for Tess, Lucy, and Connie as Connie replied, "Indeed, it's something I recognize I need to work on more." The warm Texas sun embraced them all as they stepped out onto the sidewalk. Stepped out of the church and onto the sidewalk. It felt good, a far contrast to Chicago's chill fall winds and freezing temperatures. Tess wrinkled her nose. "It's so warm. You know what I say about Texas? We only have two seasons, summer and not summer. You know it's not summer because it's under 90 degrees." All right, so now we've got this action going on. And we're all the way down to where we enter the parking lot. The family walked down the short sidewalk to the parking lot, filled with vehicles of every size, shape, and color. All right, so there we go. We're in the parking lot now. She returned a warm smile. "Thank you, Father. I enjoyed the homily. I hope to visit again soon." The family walked down the short sidewalk to the parking lot filled with vehicles of every size, shape, and color. Dan took the lead, keys in hand, and they followed behind like ducklings. Lucy slid an arm around Connie's waist. See these little things that you catch when you read it aloud? Nice. Lucy slid an arm around Connie's waist as they walked behind Dan. "Aunt Connie, how long are you going to be staying?" Connie gave her a gentle squeeze. "I've got to leave on Saturday, sweetheart. It's a long way back to Chicago, even when the weather's at its best. And I've got class on Monday." Oh, actually, let's say I've got to teach on Monday. Tess asked, "Have you gotten the first snows yet?" Connie laughed. "We got our first snows on Halloween, as usual, but we don't often, get the big snows until well after Thanksgiving, thank goodness." Okay, and so this changes by putting Dan in the lead, we're actually changing the dialogue requirements a little bit. So I'm going to have to alter that. Okay, so let's see. Connie laughed. They headed back. They headed toward the back end of the parking lot behind the Newman Center. Connie thought Dan's lack of interest in joining the conversation odd. He'd never been the extroverted type, but he seemed quieter than normal today. Hey, Dan, you doing okay? She asked, turning her attention to him. He looked back, an expression of surprise on his face. Fine, thanks. Just thinking. Connie could appreciate that. Still, she decided to continue making an effort to bring him into the conversation. How are classes going? You looking forward to the end of the semester? Dan shrugged. For the most part. I've got a lot of term papers to grade. I'm not looking forward to that, but the break will be nice once it's done. I chuckled. That's one thing I don't have to worry about with my elementary school kids. All I've got to deal with are the crazy that breaks out right before the Christmas holidays. Dan shook his head. How do you do it? Keep my college kids, thanks. I don't think I could handle 30 10-year-olds at peak energy. Yeah. Honey grinned. Does take it out of me for sure, but I wouldn't trade them for anything. Let's put it this way. They're the closest I've got. Family there, up there. Let's see how many words we've got. This may not be a separate chapter all by itself. It may end up being collapsed into more parts, but let's take a look at our word count. Yeah, it would be a pretty short chapter if we ended here. It is a scene, though. So if I were doing this as a film or a screenplay, this would be one scene block, basically. And I might actually do that. What did we say this was? Toyota. Toyota. Okay, so we have successfully included all of the things that we wanted to include. We've gotten all of our dialogue points in. And it took us 48 minutes to get this done, which is not bad. I mean, if you can manage to keep these things going daily for 30, 40 days, you'll have your book done. And if you do 2 chapters a day, you'll have it done in less time. So don't think that it takes a lot of time. If you're mapping things out already and you know where you're going with things, it doesn't have to take a super long time. One of the things that can be done is I can put more detail in here, or we just collapse this into this next, what I would assume was the chapter, but it actually is the next scene. So we're going to end here, and we'll pick back up tomorrow with the next one and the next one and the next one. Thanks for watching. If you found this informational, I hope you'll consider implementing it yourself first, and let me know how that process goes. Put it in the comments section. If you know somebody who's trying to write a book and you think this might help them, go ahead and share this out. If you like the series and you want to see more things like this, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. As always, thank you for watching and have a blessed day.